I've made this video because I want to check out what the modding community looks like in squads. I've heard that there are a lot of challenges into the lead up of getting whitelisted, and so for that reason I've reached out to a number of mod makers, which include people that create maps to complete squad overhauls. Now, some people I reached out to totally understood what I was trying to do. Others...
Would you like some coffee?
Fuck off.
Tea?
You fuck off, darling.
And unfortunately, no amount of explaining or kind of following up would convince them otherwise.
Lesson one, I tell you to fuck off, what do?
F off?
You'll go far. Well, fuck off.
There are three key groups that affect the sustainability but the success of any mod that sits on the Steam Workshop today. There are the players. We are the guys that play. We're the ones that kind of demand the creation of the mods, support feedback to the mod creators as well. But unfortunately, there is a strong sentiment that there isn't demand for mods. The second group are mod creators. And these guys are the ones that, you know, are the brainchilds of what we see on the screen right now. They're the ones that resource, you know, take times out of their days to create quality mods and keep them updated. And they're the ones that need to make sure that as the game develops, they develop with them too. The end goal for modding creators is always to go for a whitelist, because the way that OWI sets up community mods to be included in the game is by approving a license so that they can go on the main server tab. And if you want to know what I mean by this, check the server browser. That will include any whitelisted mods that are approved by OWI. If it's not, then you can probably find that on the custom server, which again creates a pressure to make sure that you've got the resource and are constantly updating it to make sure that the average player might have a chance of seeing it. The third group are server owners that run the mods themselves, and I found that community coordinators that I have talked to, as well as people who run the servers, are really in between two places. They either use a server completely for the mod and let players have fun on it, test it out on a long-term basis, or they use mods on an event basis, so temporarily using their servers for this. And there's some pretty interesting case studies of people that I've talked to who've done both, and that has positives and negatives. If those things exist, then your mod will essentially be sustained and has a higher chance of getting whitelisted. Now, what we find is that, you know, no mod creator has that. Nobody is at the same stage. Some people I've interviewed are very much like starting off, really kind of bringing up their skills. And this is compared to other mods at the moment, which are featured on the Wrench, which are way into their development cycle. Those ones are at a very different development point than the ones that are a lot smaller and perhaps the ones that you only really see on the workshop. It really boils down to how these mods are promoted. If we look at July through January until this year, you've got mods that are appearing again and again and again. There almost appears to be a sort of disconnect between what people are working on and what OWI is showcasing. It seems like on the surface, this is a nice thing to have. It's a developer saying, look at a very strong modding community. We have so much content within here. And admittedly, February's Wrench was really trying to go ham with trying to show what else is out there, but at the end of the day, if there's only like a select few that are up there and that are actively getting supported by developers, and kind of just creates this really hollow modding community when only a few companies can actually kind of get to a sustainable level to continue to support their stuff. This is what happens to a mod when an update comes out.
You know I'ma fuck it up. Oh! And I'm out. That's it? And I'm gone. And I leave. You gonna walk out? catch a flight. Thank you. Off.
What's the fucking point?
I think there's all a part we can play in trying to really promote mods and ensure some of their life cycles go well into the future. So this last section, it's going to be split between players, server owners, modders, and OWI. All right, sound good? My only recommendation to players that are on squad, go on the custom tab or go on the wrench, go and troll through Steam Workshop and try and engage with these mods, because I think everybody always welcomes new players.
I love to play as the insurgent faction because I can refuse to heal the non-believers.
So that wasn't part of the brief.
To fix mods, updates can take a long time. We don't always get in touch with enough mod makers. Mods are sometimes too confusing. Players don't want to download large mods. Sometimes can't find assets.
The short version is that the current system is set up to benefit the developers. Let's pretend for a minute I am somebody who wants to buy the game. I'm doing side research on what the game has to offer me. I could go on Squad's website, I could go on kind of the Steam Workshop, or I could also kind of start seeing what else the game has in terms of other content outside of the base game, to which I'll find a number of things on the workshop and a number of things on the wrench. And when I part with my money, proceeds of that will go to Steam, and it would also go to the devs. None of that, if you're still doing this for free as a modder, none of that will go to you. And this is my point. You might indirectly influence somebody to buy something because of your work, and you won't be reimbursed for it. Now, it's completely fine if your priority is labor of love. You know, you want to kind of show and kind of build content and do it because this is your favorite game. But if you're taking this seriously, you want to go long term with it. Instead of somebody making a mod, having an idea, taking the concept all the way to something that works, and then submitting it to be whitelisted, why not have it the other way around? Why can't the developer say, this is where our gaps are, this is what our roadmap's saying, this is what our 12 to 24 month strategy is. We want to incorporate another map, another faction, some more vehicles, have a round of applications for that, and then get content creators to actually work on that with a contract. At the end of the day, if you have the current criteria as it sits, you have your cake and eat it. And what I mean by that is you get people to embark on an investment of their time, of the communities and their networks for no cost at all. Let's distinguish between an independent team that is doing this out of their own pocket versus another team that is directly contracted by the developer to produce mods. The game industry heavily benefits from audience retention, so player numbers, and also they benefit financially purely because a mod might offer that player base something else to do, which can only be accessed through their game, and therefore if they buy your game as a developer, they can have access to that mod. I'm talking long term here because we also have to be pretty frank about what stage Squad is in. At the moment, it's got an average of 4,000 players in the last 2 months, so that's not a very big market at all compared to some of the other ones. However, it is a very active player base and really does get behind initiatives that it feels important. So if this video in some way benefits how we as a community create mods and how the developer can also help alleviate some of the pressures that modders face, then I think that would be a really positive step in the right direction.
Just center yourself.
Yes. Oh, yes, and in a sense that does. Oh, you bloody bastard! You bloody bastard! You bloody bastard!